So when I know that I've got a long car ride ahead of me, usually my way of getting through that, of making it through the road trip, is to turn on the radio, and generally to the news, usually on NPR. Which is great. It's a great way to keep up with what's going on in the world. And then you get to the weekend, where it's not so much news, but various programs that can be very helpful for learning. It just so happened a couple of weeks ago on Sunday, one of these programs was about this family. Now, this couple had 2 twin boys, and one of these boys had severe autism. Now, I don't want to add to any of the stigma in autism because this is a population, all those who live with mental illness, who very much need our love and support. However, in this case, it was an extreme situation. Oftentimes, this young man would get in these sort of violent fits. And it really got to the point where this couple, the mother and father, really couldn't do anything on their own for their son anymore. And they struggled with this. The doctors and all those around them told them that they needed to put their son in a place meant for someone with his needs, that they needed to send him elsewhere. And they really struggled with that, because this is their son. They want to do what's best for him. This is their son. They don't want to give up on him or give up on their love for him. But the fact of the matter is that they could not do this on their own. They needed people who were specialized in this. They could not help their son. They couldn't help him to behave well in public. They couldn't help him to express himself. They couldn't help him to do anything, to function in the world. And so this is what they needed. They needed people that could do that could provide that support for their son, that could give him what he needed. Now, at the beginning of the program, as they were talking about the situation with their son, they went through the things that they hate that people say to them often. And one of those was that God never gives us any more than we can handle. Now, Paul in 1 Corinthians today, at first glance, seems to be saying that very phrase to them. But here again are the words that Paul uses. God is faithful, and he will not let you be tested beyond your strength. But with the testing, he will also provide the way out, so that you may be able to endure it. What that's actually saying is that no matter what we go through, no matter the hardship, even when it seems like it's more than we can handle, and even when it is more than we can handle, God is there. God is there to be with us. And I believe that one of the ways that God worked in the life of this couple was to provide those people for them that could help them navigate this journey, that could help them do what they could not do, which is to help their son. The point here is that no matter what trial we're going through, God is there with us. We also see this in the story from Exodus this morning, which Paul references a little bit in 1 Corinthians as well. We've got Moses out in the wilderness, sees a very unusual sight, a bush that is burning and yet is not being consumed. And so he goes. and sees what's going on. And God, out of this bush, speaks to him. Now, God tells him about the plight of Moses' people, the Israelites. They've been enslaved in Egypt for many, many years. We spoke of Joseph several weeks ago. They're enslaved after Joseph, one of these people, helped save the entire nation of Egypt. So a lot of wrong is going on here. But God hasn't abandoned the Israelites. God has a plan in all this. And the plan is to use Moses. Now, Moses is very reluctant in all of this. He's very unsure that he's the right person to do this. But each and every time he has a concern, God helps him with that. In the end of our reading today, when Moses wants a name that he can give other people, God provides him with the holy name. God provides him with what he needs. And after this reading, Moses still goes on. That's just not enough to reassure him. He needs a sign to show people. So God provides him his staff, which will turn into a serpent when he needs it to. Another sign. And finally, when Moses just says, well, I'm a stutterer. I won't be able to get out the right words when I need to. God, even in frustration, provides him what he needs. He gives him the gift of his brother Aaron. So his brother Aaron will speak the words which God has given to Moses. And in this way actually will bolster Moses' claim to the Egyptians. It will seem that Moses is God's self, right there with them, and that Aaron is his prophet. In all of this, God is with Moses. In all of his trials, in all of his unsurety about himself. And also, here's the other point, is that not only is God there with him, but God is also providing all the people that Moses needs. You see, we never do this alone. God always provides people along our way to help us when we can't do it ourselves. That's what we hear in this today. That we get support from both God and our neighbor. That's why we are gathered here together as a church. Because we need one another. We need one another for support in our lives, but we also need one another to do the work of the church. We need each and every one of each other's gifts in order to make all that we do here possible. And if you turn to the prayer book, not yet, but afterwards, if you look at the outline of faith, also known as the catechism, towards the back, there's a section there on ministry. Now, in the question and answer format, the first that's listed there is not the bishop, it's not the priest, it's not the deacons, it's the laity. And even all of us here as lay people, even you, are called to do exactly what each and every one of us in ministry is called to do, which is mainly to represent Christ Jesus in the world. We're all called on to do the work of the church. We are all very necessary to do that. So what we hear in our lessons this morning is that no matter the trials, no matter how impossible they may seem, no matter how impossible they may be, not only is God there with us to support us, but oftentimes it is each other. God puts ourselves, one another, there to help support us and to build us up in the work that we do. So when we go out, we are once again called on to represent Jesus Christ in the world. But we don't just represent Jesus to one another, just as a means of support. We do so that when our neighbor, our friend, needs help, when they're struggling, when they need to see where God is in their lives, we as representatives can do that. And through our representing of Christ Jesus to our friend and to our neighbor, maybe, just maybe they can see that actually, in fact, Jesus has been there all along, and that Jesus will continue to be with them, no matter the trials or the joys that they may experience in their lives.